Hi, I'm Allan.
And I'm Russell.
And this is Popculture Pontification.
The show where we talk about pop culture topics.
Yep. I feel like you're getting more and more needlessly specific as time goes by.
I don't know that pop culture topics
are
specific.
Not necessarily. That's the opposite way of what I should
vague.
say. You're getting extremely general and not specific whatsoever.
Well, the show where we talk about Marvel Puzzle Quest.
Because that's all of what you've been playing.
Yeah.
Because, Well, this is a bit of a change of pace for us. Because usually we record... This is, again, we're going behind the curtain here.
Yeah.
Usually we record on a Thursday.
Behind the sweaty
Behind
curtain.
the sweaty curtain. It's quite hot in here. Usually we record on a Thursday.
Yep.
Because that just happens to be the day when we're both free.
Yep.
But you...
working overtime.
Working lots of overtime at the moment. You're very busy. So we're recording on a Saturday afternoon / evening, I suppose. Yes. So
hottest day of the season so far, I believe.
And also the biggest break between podcast recordings since we started recording.
Yeah, so we should have loads of delectable content.
Those extra 2 days that we've had should really fill in all the gaps.
Yeah.
Speaking of...
Eventually, though.
You ruined my segue.
Sorry
but go
to break your flow.
I was going to be an awful segue, so
You're
go on.
You're going to have to find another
No, we'll leave
even
that in.
worse segue.
Nope, we'll leave it in. Continue.
Just like with daylight savings time, eventually we're going to have to go back. And
we don't do daylight savings, though. We're in Western Australia. What's your question?
It's true. But you're aware of the concept of daylight savings.
I'm aware of the concept of it.
You gain an hour and then you lose an hour.
Yes.
Eventually, when we switch back to a weekday schedule, we're going to have a short week.
Because we're going to gain an hour. Though.
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect us whatsoever. Our time marches the same.
But if we record on a Saturday and then we jump back to a Thursday, that's only like 4 days.
Well, yes.
We're going to have to
I thought you meant from
for the blood
Thursday to Thursday. What's daylight savings got to do with it?
I'll explain to you.
No. Come on. Clearly, one of us is an idiot, and I'm willing to roll the dice and bet it's you.
All right.
Because right now it's going to be a short net jump to the next episode if we go back to Thursday.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yes. What the fuck has daylight savings got to do with that?
Like when you change your clock,
I understand the concept
you gain
of
an hour.
Yes.
And then when you go back, you lose an hour, so you have a short day.
Correct.
Yeah.
Were you using daylight savings as a metaphor?
Yes.
No, why would you bring daylight savings? It could have just said, next week's going to be a short week. There you go. That's the end of the conversation.
This is a terrible concept.
There was no need for a metaphor there, and you've made a right fool of yourself. And I, as always, remain pristine and pure and correct all the time. Except when it comes to people's names.
When you are editing, you'll go on Google, and then maybe you'll let me know
look
that
up
you're wrong.
metaphor?
Yeah. When is it appropriate to use daylight savings as a metaphor?
Never.
Google Yahoo Answers. This will be the exact response.
Yes, because you'll go home and post a Yahoo question.
No, it will be Guy Incognito from New York.
Just happens to type exactly like you.
Yeah. The day after we recorded.
Very amusing. So, something big happened this week. Something amazing. Something glorious. Something phenomenal.
Yes?
Fallout 4. Fallout 4 came out, Russell. I've been so happy and excited.
Yeah, I've hardly heard from you all week.
That's true. Yep. A lot of hours have gone into that game.
Yeah.
Since it came out and since it dropped on a Monday night at 9 o'clock. It's been pretty much my entire world. Yes, mostly.
Convenient time for you.
Very extraordinarily convenient time for me. Because I work the weekends, so Monday is my Friday. Yeah. At which point I had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to do nothing but play that game.
Yeah.
I am like 30 hours in at this point.
That's pretty impressive.
Yes. And I have just been... I've been doing quests. I've just been wandering around doing stuff. But I haven't really even touched the main game yet.
What kind of quests have you been doing? Is it like a guy wants you to get 10 wolf pelts?
Okay, I'm going to tell... this is like sort of spoiler territory. So if anybody wants to tune out now, they can tune out now. But it's nothing major. It's got nothing to do with the main storyline.
Tune back in after about 45 minutes of Fallout chat.
Fallout chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. There is a guy... Like, you get the radio signals when you first leave the vault. This is pretty standard. It's pretty much in every Fallout game. Mm-hmm. And the guy is god-awful. It's called Diamond City Radio. And...
Awful as in he's a bad radio host?
Absolutely. He's a terrible radio host.
He has terrible segues. He's always interrupting his partner.
He's always interrupting... Excuse me for coughing there. No.
He coughs on the air.
He coughs on air, and he does it right when somebody else is talking, so you can't edit it out. No. He sounds almost exactly like Morty from Rick and Morty. Like the way he talks. He's like, geez, I guess this is a song that you might enjoy listening to. A guy sings it. Okay, here it is. And then he just goes into a song. And there's one section where he's like telling a story. Like as you progress and do quests in the game, word filters through and eventually you hear about yourself on the radio doing stuff.
Sorry, can I just check, is this radio like it's a sporadic thing, or is it like Grand Theft Auto where it's just constantly playing while you're going around?
There's a few that pop up and disappear as you go in and out of areas, but Diamond City Radio sort of blankets the entire area that I've been exploring.
Okay.
So it's pretty much everywhere. And you just have it on your Pip-Boy playing in the background while you're going around the place.
Right.
And so I'll be like sneaking through the tunnel and he'll just be telling a story about something I did. And which is really cool because it's something that really gets you like in the world and all that sort of stuff. But all of a sudden he'll just say, I can only imagine, what they possibly would have said when that happened. Like, oh my god, we're all gonna die! And you're just like sneaking around, you're like, Jesus fucking Christ! It scares the shit out of you because he just starts screaming on the radio. But there's like a whole quest line in the main city that you just find out by walking through the main city.
Yeah.
And one of the security guards go, oh, so-and-so wants to go have a word with you. And that'll just pop up as like a little mini quest that'll pop up. And then you go and speak to the person.
Yeah.
And it's all about this guy who's like, Jesus, that Diamond City radio is fucking awful, isn't it? We should do something about that. And then it's a whole quest about trying to build the kid's confidence up so he's better on the radio. And I won't go into the details of it. But you go through this long, convoluted thing of like setting up a fake fight so he wins, and then he builds up his confidence. And then that goes south. And then you and he have to go like in and rescue someone who got kidnapped and all that sort of stuff. And then a little while after that, you'll be wandering around and he's like, hey, cool cats, I'm back on the radio. I can't believe how nerdy I used to sound. It's exaggerated for effect, but he just becomes like a much better radio host because he's like, I don't know what I was worrying about. Comparing to being shot in the face, this is no problem.
Nice. Is it clearly the same guy?
It's the same voice actor, yeah. But it's just like little things like that. Like little things will pop up. Like it'll be, the main quest will be to go from here all the way over there. And you'll just be wandering along, and it'll be like, oh, what's that over there? And you'll go explore that, and it's a little mini quest.
And you could, like, easily just miss it.
You could just... Well, it'll pop up as, like, one of the grayed out locations that are nearby. And it'll be, like, a little picture of a house. And you go, oh, I wonder what's over there. Or you'll just be walking along, and you'll see a house. And you walk over, and it's like, so-and-so location discovered. Then there's, like, a little storyline based around where you've been, and stuff like that.
Nice. But if you so chose, or felt you had something more pressing to do, you could
just,
go,
you just shoot right on by. But you'll be a little fast travel location that you can go back to. Yeah. And then there's just like tiny little things. Like there'll just be like a chest or like a safe or something in like a little divot. And it turns out that there's like a little story around. Like that was someone who robbed a stagecoach or something. And there's a helicopter going by overhead. And it'll be like a little stagecoach, and there'll be two skeletons, and there'll be a note on there saying, I don't trust that Jimmy, I feel like he's going to betray me. And then there's like a skeleton next to it, it's like got Jimmy's revolver, and then he's like, he's shot the other guy. And so there's like lots of it's so much detail.
Yeah.
That it's a very rich environment. And it's great, and I could keep talking about it, but I feel like we should maybe move on to something else.
No, well, it's a big thing for you. It's like Christmas and birthday all rolled into one.
Well, I'll tell you the story about my girlfriend, which I've said to you, but I feel like it's an amusing story.
It is. I'm sure she'll be delighted to have it.
My girlfriend came over to my house yesterday, and she does night shift, so she got here at about 10 o'clock or so. But I start work on early Saturday mornings, so I said, here's Fallout, go have fun. Fallout 4, go have fun in Fallout 4. Go make a character or whatever. I'm going to bed. So I went for a shower, and I came back out, and she was still in the character creation screen. So I was like, you having fun? She's like, yeah, it's going to be great. And so I went to bed, fall asleep almost instantly, because that's the way I roll. I'm cool like that.
Yeah.
And then I woke up at like 4:30 in the morning, because I have to wake up at a fucking god-awful hour to go to work on the weekend. And I came out, and there she is, just sitting in front of the screen playing Fallout. And I'm like, that's like 7 hours later or so. Sure. All right. So I scare her because she's sitting in the dark and she's fighting like ghouls and stuff. So I sneak up behind her and I'm like, ah! She's like, oh, Jesus Christ. And I'm like, I'm going to work now. And she's like, all right. I'm like, don't play for too much longer.
Yeah.
You should go to bed soon. She's like, all right, bye. And I go, bye. And I go to work and I come back 10 hours later. I show up again. And she's awake and it looks like she's been in bed. So I'm like, all right, fair enough. I'm like, she's really groggy and she's sort of like, nah. I'm like, when did you go to sleep? She's like, 10 o'clock. It's like, you played for like 10 hours. That's like almost half of the amount of time that I played since I got the
very
game.
Impressive.
And she was just like, it was so much fun building things and customizing and scrapping things and all this sort of stuff and getting resources from the things I said. And the dog found me a sledgehammer, so then I was hitting ghouls with a sledgehammer. And then I upgraded the sledgehammer to hit him with a bigger sledgehammer. I was like, all right, yeah, she had fun.
Most people on Twitter I've seen seem to have spent like at least the first 2 or 3 days of playing the game just in the character creator, trying to get the most ridiculous looking person.
I basically just try to get an approximation of myself. As soon as I'm like, that looks roughly like me, give the guy a beard.
Yeah.
That's close to the amount of hair that I have.
Yeah.
Does his nose look as weird as mine? It's close enough. All right, let's play the game.
Do you have a weird looking nose?
I got a bit of a upward sort of slope thing.
Yeah, I don't think that makes it weird looking.
It's weird to me. Whatever. It's like something I'm self-conscious about. Thanks for pointing it out.
Okay, well, fortunately this is an audio podcast.
That's true.
Yeah. Nobody has to look at your freak nose.
My freak nose, yeah. Don't look at me. So, no, I don't really get into the obsession of it. I spent maybe like 15 minutes in the character creation, and then I'm just like, let's get on with it, you know?
And then like 10 minutes into the game, you probably put a helmet on anyway. So.
Exactly, yeah. Like, my character right now has a hard hat on, which improves his armor. Like cool aviators, which improve his perception, and a skull bandana on his face. So you see none of his face right now. But so I don't really try to bother about it.
So you're enjoying it?
I am, yeah, doing lots of side quests, pretty much ignoring the main quest as I go around and explore everything on the map. I've probably explored maybe like a third, maybe a quarter of the map.
Right.
And that's like 30 hours I've put into that.
So you're looking at like a cool 100.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that's not even paying attention to any sort of like alternative run-throughs where I just try to kill everybody and steal everything.
Yeah.
But the metrics that it keeps is like amount of things stolen, amount of stim packs stolen, amount of this stolen, amount of people
very
killed.
Valuable information.
Just all that sort of stuff. Which is great for people who want to do like challenge runs and prove that they did the entire game without shooting someone, or the entire game.
The guy where he didn't heal.
He didn't heal for the entirety of Fallout 3. Yeah, who's bigger fan of Fallout than I am, and he's running through and playing stuff. I did do one stupid thing though.
Only one.
How out of character for me. Is that when you upgrade, it's like a pamphlet opens up, and it's got all the main skills along the top, and then it's like rows of things going down. And I completely ignored absolutely everything about the game before it released because I wanted it to be like a fresh experience. So I had no idea how like the level up system worked. But there was the top row of your skills, and then like 4 rows on the screen of different perks you can take as things level up. And I hopped on it as the first level up, and I was like, oh. So I like hit the down button, and it didn't scroll. I like shifted all the WASD and arrow keys, and it didn't move up and down or left or right or whatever. So I was like, oh, it's weird. There's only like 4 levels of perks.
Right.
Out of... Oh, that's weird. I won't worry about it. I'll worry about it later. I'll just take a level in toughness for some reason. And then, like, I was doing another one, and I was getting towards the bottom of the screen. I was like, I want to take that one. And I pushed the mouse down to the bottom of the screen, and it scrolled a bit. I was like, no, theoretically wasted perk options.
No, misbuilt character.
But the annoying thing was, I was like, how do I get better at pick and locks? There's no lock pick on this screen. It's pickpocketing. Maybe it's like a subset of pickpocketing. I have to get higher levels in pickpocketing to pick locks. So I've got like 2 levels in pickpocketing. So I can just steal from pretty much everybody at this point. And if I wanted to, I can just place a grenade in their inventory and then walk away and it blows them up.
Nice. With your aviators.
With my sweet aviators, yeah. So, but it wasn't too bad. I discovered it early enough on that it wasn't that big of a deal. But I think that's enough spoiler talk of theoretical spoilers. What do you want to chat about today?
Well, since our last podcast, I have turned the ripe old age of 30.
Yes. You're an old man. Old man Russell. You've already got enough grey hair in your beard.
I do.
So now...
And my head hair.
And, well, you're 30. What do you want?
Greying all over.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about, like, you a bit of a silver fox downstairs? How's that area holding
that's
up?
still a full colour.
Full bright ginger? Ginger patch?
Well, I don't want to get into too many details. The reason I mentioned my birthday is because one of the presents that my friends chipped in to get me was...
You're welcome. Yep.
Yeah, including present company.
Present company especially included, because I'm right here, so it was all me. Shut up.
Yeah.
Nobody else can say otherwise. Yep.
That's true. Star Wars Imperial Assault.
Yes.
The board game from Fantasy Flight Games.
Now, I am both excited and upset about you getting this.
Oh?
Yes. Because
why?
classically, I bought a very large, very expensive board game for us to play when one of our friends moved away.
Yeah.
And he wanted to play it.
Yeah.
Called Twilight Imperium.
Yeah.
Which is a space game.
Yeah.
And we played it. It was horrendously complicated and had thousands of minis. And we played it for like 4 hours trying to learn how to play.
Yeah.
And you complained the entire time.
Yeah.
This is stupid. Space is stupid. Space games are stupid. I hate space games. I hate you. I hate this. I want to leave.
That you're correctly characterizing my argument.
I'm really paraphrasing here, but
Yeah.
that's the general gist. You were upset and unhappy with us playing that.
Yeah. It was extremely complicated.
It was very complicated.
And it took forever to learn.
It did.
And Elmo was moving away.
Yes.
So learning the game seemed like a wasted
But ever
afternoon.
since then, that's wasted money that I've spent. Because I'm like, hey, why don't we try to give this another shot? And you're like, go fuck yourself.
I think that conversation takes place in your head. You just think, what would Russell say if I invited him to play this game again?
Every now and then I do threaten you
Go
that
fuck
we're going to
yourself.
play ourselves.
Yeah.
We're going to go play it again. I'm like, oh, maybe I should not. Nah, he's just going to tell me to go fuck myself.
Yeah.
You never want to play that game again. You never will. And
Can't
now
imagine
you're like...
having enough free
enough
time
free
to
time.
want to play it.
And now you're like, oh, what's this? An enormous space game that has
Yeah.
dozens of miniatures and is very complicated. Sure. Let's jump right in. Feet first, please. I don't care how deep the water is.
Yeah. If you simplify it in that particular way, then you could draw a parallel.
Yes. We were talking about this earlier before we started recording. And one of the things you said was that this game takes place over several different sessions.
Yeah.
Go
You
fuck.
play a campaign.
Get fucked, Russell. Because at least Twilight Imperium is one sit-down session and not you got to get the same group back around fucking 4 times to finish one storyline mission.
Well, maybe I won't invite you to play then.
No, absolutely. Come on, seriously. I want to play the game.
Yeah.
Because I'm not bitter. A bitter old man like you've become.
You sound pretty bitter.
I'm a little upset.
Yeah.
But I'll get over it.
I didn't tell you to get Twilight Imperium.
No.
Anyway, I'm very excited to play this board game. It reminds me a lot of Hero Quest, which is another board game I played when I was
which we've
nipper.
wanted to play, but we haven't had a chance to.
Yeah.
Because it's never really come up in the podcast before, but we're a bit of a board game loving group, our friend circle, our immediate friend circle.
Yeah.
And it's just never really come up in the podcast before, I suppose, because we've never really had any new games to talk about.
But this one I really wanted to
Yes.
bring up.
So you're going to drop some sweet knowledge bombs on us on a game that you've never played before?
No, I'm not. I just wanted to flag that I am quite excited by it.
Okay, so basically this is
for
a
anyone
warning
who-
for future chat about this game.
There's going to be a lot of Star Wars chat in the next...
It's true. It is very topical.
while,
I'll
I
give you
think.
that.
I rewatched episode 4.
I think
last
before
night.
we move on to that, I feel like what you should point out what you did the immediate day after getting this very expensive board game from all your friends. What did you do in regards to the board game the next day? How can I remember this and you don't?
I don't fucking know.
You went to Tactics, which is a local board
Oh
game
yeah,
shop.
I went and got some expansions.
Like, you like immediately got this base game that you've never played.
Yeah.
You're like, let's go make this more complicated by buying expansions.
But there's an expansion that says Han Solo on it,
Well,
and
to be
another one
fair-
that says Chewbacca. So
Are they not in the
obviously you
same
have to-
expansion? Do they not come as a group?
What? No.
Han Solo and Chewbacca. I feel like they should come as a set.
Maybe they. I don't think they did.
They should have done.
They might have.
They're just trying to milk the dollars
Oh,
out
yeah.
of you because you can't get Han and not have Chewie.
Yeah. They're a
That's-
package
yeah,
deal.
a package deal. They're bros.
Yeah. Anyway, there's like dozens of expansions for this. You can get all the movie characters. Well, I assume you will be able to eventually. I don't know if you can get
Is there
one
no
Mothma.
movie characters in the base game?
There's Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
They
I
could
mean-
definitely have got $20 out of me if Darth Vader was like a separate package.
I feel like they really scrimped on you here. I mean,
Well,
they could have
you
at least
get a
done-
whole bunch of stormtroopers, and you get
I
a
guess.
ATST. It's
But-
fucking enormous.
They could have at least given you like the first movie's characters. You know, could have given you.
Oh yeah,
Han.
because everyone's gonna rush out to get fucking Qui-Gon Jinn.
No,
They've
no.
already got Luke and Obi-Wan.
They could at least have given you Han, Chewie, Luke, and Obi-Wan, because that's the main group.
And Leia.
Well, yeah, but she's
Leia.
sort of a secondary character.
I don't think so.
Well, she's not part of the initial sort of let's go rescue so and so.
Yeah, but having watched episode 4 last night, a surprising amount of it happens after Obi-Wan gets killed. Spoilers
So, well, yeah, of a 30, 40-year-old movie, yeah.
that everybody's.
I suppose Leia is like one of the very first strong female characters in a sort of sci-fi fiction movie universe.
Is she?
I really gave that a lot of conditions, didn't there, when I said that?
I feel like you can back that up.
I got no stats to back that up. But no, she's the first one I remember, I suppose is what I should say.
Oh yeah.
Because she took no guff.
No.
She was guffless,
Yeah.
you know.
Han and Luke rock up and she's like, get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah, she's like, you guys
I'm leading
are
us down this
fucking
garbage chute."
idiots. I'm
Yeah.
getting out of here.
Yeah.
But she stands up to Darth Vader.
Yeah.
She's like, Darth Vader's like, tell us the location of the robot. She's like, fuck off. You're gonna blow up my planet? I don't believe you.
She is available in a later expansion.
Of course she is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, yes. So thank you for providing me with this money sink.
Well, unfortunately, maybe instead of... This is... I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but when we did the group, the Facebook event, to like see who wants to chip in for this present for you.
I didn't know it was so organised.
What do you think? We just fucking threw money in a hat? Of course it was
Yeah, I
organised.
thought so.
It's a bunch of people who went into it. We were like, this is the minimum amount for us, the people who've said they're attending, to chip in.
Okay.
If you want to put more in, put it on a gift card.
Right.
You know, which is what we did.
Yeah.
You got a gift card. Maybe we should have given you a gift card to Tactics instead of JB Hi-Fi, which is what we did. Because then you could have gone and spent all that on all the expansions.
I can always make use of a JB Hi-Fi gift card.
I suppose so.
I am on a podcast, called
Yes.
Popculture Pontification,
Yep.
which is all about movies and
Movies and
games and
bric-a-brac.
other things that you can buy at JB Hi-Fi.
I suppose so.
Yeah,
And you got a sweet inside line onto JB Hi-Fi as well.
I do.
Yes, one of our friends is a manager there. Here's something I never really got when I was a kid about episode 4.
Magnets. How
Yes.
do they work?
How do they work? It's quite clearly proven as to how they work. It's a stupid song. No. Because I never got the obsession with Leia when I was growing up. Like,
do you
everybody's like, oh, she's so hot. What a sex symbol. I'm like, as a kid, I was growing up. She's like, she's just a chick in like a fucking smock. I don't give a shit. And then Star
Maybe
Wars.
you were spoiled for chicks in smocks where you came from.
This is smocks for days when I grew
up.
But Star Wars is the series of movies I watch when I'm sick. Like, if I'm sick, I'll sit down and I'll watch Star Wars. And every now and then I'll just, like, once a year or so, I'll watch the entire Star Wars franchise. That's
The entire?
Not the fucking prequels.
So you watch 50% of the Star Wars
I watch 50%.
franchise.
The good 50% of the Star Wars. But I sat down 6 months ago, a year ago, I can't remember exactly how long, and watched episode 4. And I'm just like, Luke points the lightsaber directly at his face. Sure, whatever. Wavy
that
arm,
movie
man.
is wonky as hell.
How so? What do you mean? Like the plot holes? What?
No, it just like the... I don't know how to say it, but it like... if it wasn't Star Wars, it would be on like the same level as like Krull.
I suppose so. Yeah.
Those sort of like
if it
80s
didn't
fantasy
become
movies.
an incredibly popular, fantastic franchise, then you think... Do you think people coming into it now who've never seen any of the movies would watch episode 4 and go, what a piece of shit?
Probably.
Anyway, so I watched it, so on and such forth, and then Leia shows up. And all of a sudden I was like, fuck yes! Leia's hot as shit.
Was this a realization you
I had a realization that I had. I was like, she is not wearing anything underneath that fucking... She is not wearing a bra in that movie.
You reckon?
Absolutely. If she is, it's not much of one.
Ah.
And I was just sitting there, I'm sick, I've got a cold, but I am sporting a severe boner watching this movie. Like, any scene she was in, I'm like, really turned on. She was like, man, Carrie Fisher was fucking hot.
Was it because Chewbacca was also in those scenes?
Well, you know how
Maybe
I feel about Chewbacca, and I've asked you not to bring that up in public. I told you that in confidence.
Right.
No, but it's just, all of a sudden, it's just like something clicked in my head, and I was like, now I get it.
Yeah.
It was just a weird moment of realization. I was like, this is what everybody is always talking about. You know? It never occurred to me before. It's like the people who watched like the old Wonder Woman series way back in the day. And they're like, what's her name? Dana Carvey or something? I can't remember.
Fuck if I know.
God, if I get that, Russell, that's some severe points in my guessing celebrity name. I probably got the Dana part right. No, what am I fucking talking about? Dana's the name of fucking Wonder Woman.
Is it?
Like, that's her civilian name is Dana.
Okay.
I'm a fucking idiot. But people who watch the old Wonder Woman TV series, they're just like, yeah, man, that was a shit. As many a boner was had back in the day watching that. But looking at it now, I'm just like, I don't know what they're talking about. But maybe one day I'll go, oh yeah, now I get it. Yeah, it was super sexy. Thank you very much. But no, that was just a weird moment I had with Star Wars. That it never happened before. Even when she was in like the gold bikini.
Yeah.
As a kid, I was growing up. It was never just like, wow, I'm fucking rock hard right now. But all of a sudden, her running around in that fucking flouncy white dress going like, go, fuck you, Vader. You're going down. I'm going to destroy your empire. I'm like, man, yeah, all right. Let's keep this going. It's just a weird moment.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you finally had your sexual awakening.
It was, yeah. At age 29 or something.
Yeah.
It was just all of a sudden, oh, this is what that's for. That's not just for peeing. That's for something else.
My sick day movies are always westerns.
Yeah.
Or
like, what's the classic one?
Or Where Eagles Dare, which is not a western,
we both love.
It's fucking amazing.
You introduced me to Where Eagles Dare.
Yeah.
And it is one of the best movies I've ever seen. If only for like the ridiculousness of it.
Yeah.
What did I classically describe it as? Oh, at the beginning, nobody's a Nazi.
Yeah.
About a quarter of the way through, somebody's a Nazi.
Yeah.
Right near the end, everybody's a Nazi.
Yeah.
And then some people are Nazis, other people might be Nazis.
Yeah.
Okay, that guy's a Nazi, that guy's not a Nazi.
Yeah. And then Clint Eastwood goes on a rampage and kills everyone.
He does. Clint Eastwood does his great thing where he just walks into every room and goes, hey, and then shoots someone.
Yeah.
When they turn around.
I love that movie.
It is a great movie.
Next time you're sick, watch Where Eagles Dare. That's my recommendation.
What's my favorite bit is when they're walking up to the Nazi castle and they're like, the only indication you get that they're no longer speaking English is one character says to another character, we should start speaking German. And then
they carry on speaking
they
English.
just carry on speaking in accented English.
Yeah.
One guy is a British guy, and then the other guy's Clint Eastwood. And they're like, now we're speaking British. And as Clint Eastwood's like, hey, I'm a Nazi. Yeah, come on.
Go Hitler.
Go Hitler. It's a terrible Clint Eastwood impression.
Clint Eastwood in an SS uniform is rather disconcerting.
It is. It's very out of the ordinary. But what's your go-to cowboy movie when you're sick?
Usually the remake of 3:10 to Yuma.
3:10 to Yuma is a good one. Yeah.
With Russell Crowe.
What's that other one? True Grit. True Grit is a classic.
Yeah, it's a good
I
one
love
too.
True Grit.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a movie called They Call Me Trinity?
No.
No,
Is
it's
that
like
one
a
of the Matrix sequels.
No, surprisingly. But I'm pretty sure it's where Trinity got her name from.
Or like the Holy Trinity.
Well, I think that a pop culture reference would be much more likely, seeing as how one of them's called Morpheus, which is a character from a comic book.
There's fucking loads of biblical shit in the Matrix.
Well, what? What biblical?
Go and Google it.
Well, no, come on. This is
Neo
a
is
podcast.
Jesus.
Well, yes, there's like that sort of overlay, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about the naming conventions. Isn't got anything to do with biblical stuff.
Well, I'm sure that Trinity's name came from the Bible rather.
Do you think is Morpheus? Like, I'm not super religious. Is Morpheus a religious reference that I've never gotten? Because Morpheus is a character from a comic book.
Well, what comic?
Well, you put me on the spot now. It's another name for death, I think, is Morpheus in a DC comic book. I can't remember for the life of me which it is. I've never read it, but I know of it.
Yeah.
And Trinity, I always assumed was from They Call Me Trinity, which is a Western. And
Who's in it? I've never heard of it.
I don't know. Don't ask me actors' names, Russell. How many times are you going to go through this?
Usually it's like, it's like John Wayne.
No. It's sort of like kind of like a little slapstick spaghetti Western comedy style thing. It's very famous.
The Three Amigos.
Western. Not that bad. But it's a very old spaghetti Western.
Right.
And one of the characters is Trinity, and he's the guy who goes around and like shoots people and so on and so forth.
I see.
I've never watched it actually.
Does he say dodge this before he?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Then maybe that's where
where it comes from. Then. Speaking of outdated references,
yeah,
I attempted to read a book this week.
Oh yeah.
That really comes across as I don't read a lot of books. I read quite a lot of books.
Attempted to read a book.
I attempted to read a book. The words confused me, and I gave up very quickly and went back to the pretty pictures on the square thing.
Yeah.
No, I own quite a few books. I'm quite a prolific reader. Russell's sitting next to all my books right now, and there's like 3 bookshelves full of books.
Sure, there is, Alan.
Sure, that's what everybody
Books.
likes. You know what? Fuck you. I'm gonna take a picture of all my books and put it in the blog post.
Yeah.
No.
Google me search books.
Just reverse image search that one image I
Yeah.
post, and it'll show up somebody's book collection. No, and a book that I really quite enjoyed is a book called Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Now, it's a book I own and that I've lent to you.
Yep.
And under the pretense of you reading it,
Yep.
which I very much doubt will ever happen.
I'll get to it eventually.
But he wrote a sequel called Armada,
Yes.
which I started to read, and it was awful.
Ah,
I very quickly gave it up.
that's a shame.
Because the basic plot of Ready Player One is that everybody is sort of hooked into this sort of global cybernetic universe. Like, it's sort of Sword Art Online for people who get the reference. It's very similar to that. You're not going to get that reference. I don't care.
I have watched several episodes.
Have you watched Sword Art Online? It's basically the same thing, except they're not trapped in the universe.
Right.
There's a bunch of different worlds of that sort of ilk that they can go to. Anyway, and it's all about the guy who created it, left clues in the virtual world.
Yeah.
In pop culture reference, pop culture knowledge reference, and all that sort of stuff. To clues to take over his controlling share of the company.
Which is worth a lot of money.
Which is worth one of the biggest companies in the world.
Right.
And what happens is that there are people who will call themselves, I can't remember, like they hunt these things down. They look for clues and hints and all that sort of stuff to sort of find their way. And the main character in Ready Player One is one of these people. And they go through and they try to learn absolutely every scrap of pop culture knowledge and reference and video game lore and comic books and da-da-da. Everything. So the book is full of references, but it's contextually... It makes sense in context because they're supposed to have all this obscure, ridiculously obscure knowledge because that's what their whole book is based around.
Yeah.
In Armada, which is... Plot is ripped directly out of The Last Starfighter.
Okay.
Which is...
Is it a sequel? Is it the same characters or the same world?
It's different universe.
Okay.
Well, to my knowledge, so far.
Right.
The bit that I got through is completely different world.
Okay.
And every character, pretty much, in this it's just nothing but forced pop culture references.
Right. That sounds familiar.
It does sound familiar. But it doesn't make contextual sense.
Yeah.
Because nobody talks like this in real life, which is what this is based on.
Right.
It's like normal Earth, you know? At the beginning, this is just a normal life, you know? A normal town, not a normal this, that, and the other. But everybody is like, oh, blah, 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 obscure 1970 pop culture reference. I'm 16. It makes sense for me to know this.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I'm a mother who's a nurse.
Yeah.
Obscure pop culture reference from 1975 that nobody would get with a level of knowledge that I should have. And it's just nothing but forced reference after forced reference. And it was torturous to read.
What you're missing is that Ernest Cline and his friends.
Well done reading that upside down.
Yeah. In like a crazy.
At a crazy angle, yeah, crazy font.
All of their conversations are probably just nothing but references. So maybe that's what he thinks people talk like.
I watched a whatchamacallit, a documentary called Atari or something like that.
Yeah.
Where they go around and they're trying to dig up
where they dig up ET.
ET cartridges. Yeah. And it's all about the fall of the game industry. And Ernest Cline features in that. Because he's got a DeLorean that's built up to be like the Back to the Future DeLorean. Of course he fucking does. And he's in that. And he does drop quite a few obscure pop culture references. So I'm sure that is an aspect of his life.
Yeah.
But it just seems like it was really shoehorned in to Armada because it was what was expected of him.
Yeah.
So I got about a fifth of the way into it. And I'd never do this. I got a fifth of the way and it was like, I just can't. I can't keep reading this. Everything just seems so forced and like cliche. And if that's what you're looking for, it was great. But it just seemed so forced. I was like, I put it down and I put it on the shelf and I was like, that was a waste of $30.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to finish reading it.
That'd be a great box quote. If what you're looking for is forced cliches,
this is the place to go.
Yeah. Well, that is a shame.
It is. Well, you know.
Well, I intended to get stuck right into One Punch Man this week.
Have you not had a chance?
I watched the first episode.
Yes.
And it was very funny.
And fuck you again, Russell, because I told you to start looking into this like a fucking year ago.
Yeah. No, you didn't.
I did.
On the first podcast, you mentioned
I did,
that your favourite manga was being turned into a show.
At a convention about a year ago, we were talking about manga, and I was like, hey, this is a real cool manga that I just started reading called One Punch Man. And you're like, what is that about? I said, it's this sort of comedy manga where this guy beats everybody with one punch. And you're like, that sounds fucking stupid.
Well, I wasn't wrong, because it is fucking stupid.
But it's also amazing.
But, yeah, it is very entertaining. But unfortunately, I was watching on Anime Lab, which is...
I don't know what that is.
It's like an app on PlayStation. It's basically Crunchyroll.
Okay, yep.
But, like a different Crunchyroll.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The first episode went fine, and it was unable to play its own ads, which was good.
Okay.
I could watch without the
so
ads.
You got that for free, yeah.
But then the second episode, when I went to stream it, it was laggy as fuck.
So the problem is not with One Punch Man, but your streaming service.
Like, streaming service. So I don't know if it's on Crunchyroll, but maybe I should try
I would assume it would be on Crunchyroll.
I'm not an anime person.
Well, I don't watch stuff on Crunchyroll.
Oh, where do you get your anime?
Shush, Russell, shut up. No. Surely it'd be on Crunchyroll.
I'll have to have a look.
Yeah, it seems like it's popular enough that it should be.
Yeah.
That seems to be like the usual way it works. Is this incredibly popular? Yes, it's on here. Is it more than 2 years old and not Death Note? Okay, it's not on Crunchyroll.
Okay. Well, I shall look it up.
Yes, you should.
I found it very entertaining.
It was, yeah. I think it's on to episode 7 is getting released this week.
That's good. It's a good start.
Well, it was 7 weeks ago it started. So.
Yeah. But if it was like, episode 35 is getting released, then I'm not even going to bother because I'll never get to the end.
That would be like 4 episodes a week, which would be amazing for me as a fan of the show.
Yeah.
But the good news is, for you, is that they're not doing... It's not going to be like Naruto or something. It's not going to be like 300 plus episodes.
They say that now.
They say that now.
I mean, it doesn't seem like a Naruto sort of show.
No. I think it... Judging by the pace it's going through, I'd be surprised if it beat 20 episodes.
Yeah, that's good.
Until it reaches up to the current point that it's been redone, manga-wise.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into how it started, because I've already talked about that.
Yeah.
If you want to know more, either listen to an old podcast, or go to the blog post, in which I have links to the first manga, the redone manga, and the anime.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, I think that's enough nonsense, and I can't think of a way for us to start talking about Fallout 4 again. So I think we should go into Forced Review.
I mean, Fallout Forced Review.
Fallout Forced Review. Oh, it's amazing, Russell. You should play the game. It's a forced review. Alright.
Quickfire Forced Review before the thunderstorm ruins our recording.
Alright, so it's a forced review. And it's going to be a very melodramatic forced review because a thunderstorm has just started rolling in.
Hopefully it will punctuate dramatic points.
Yes, and not just like halfway through when I'm like, so this is for...
And then it was revealed that I was betrayed.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So, forced review has a few very simple rules. The subject that is being reviewed has to have been seen or consumed by the person who is giving it out. It has to be something within reason that can be consumed within the amount of time that we have between episodes, roughly a week. It has to be something that the other person does not find objectionable, which is a much better way of saying it than I've said in the past, which is making various allusions to making a Jewish person watch Nazi war videos and stuff like that. Objectionable is a great way of saying it.
I found Attention of the Dead objectionable, and yeah, you
that was quite objectionable. So that was humorously objectionable.
Right.
Which is much different to culturally objectionable.
Right, okay.
And is that all the rules? I think that's all the rules. You have to watch it, you have to have seen it, have to be able to consume it within a week, can't be objectionable. No, that's it.
I feel like next time I'm going to nominate you like a Parmigiana.
You're going to nominate... I'm going to be forced to review
when
a
you say
food?
that you have to consume it within a week,
well,
it makes me think of like...
That's how you...
things.
That's what happens. You consume media. That's
You
the way you say it.
Oh, hey, girlfriend, why don't we consume some TV shows tonight?
Alright, well, before this fucking thunder and lightning storm knocks out the power, maybe we should get this rolling. It's going to be a short review.
So, why don't you tell me about your experience with 80 Days?
Which is...
the mobile game from Inkle Studios, in which you...
Did you just remember that off the top of your head?
Yeah.
That's quite impressive. I would not remember that.
I'm pretty good with names.
It's true. This is one way we differ.
It is. In which you, in the form of basically an electronic choose-your-own-adventure book, you guide your Phineas Fogg around the world.
As his manservant.
Valet.
Valet.
Passepartout.
Passepartout, who's French.
Yes.
Now, I have a lot of strong opinions about this. Namely, that I fucking hated it.
You wouldn't tell me what you thought of it.
No,
and I assumed that could only be a bad thing.
There were aspects that I enjoyed, but it became such a drudge after a while. I just sort of fell into the same trap. It's a text game with different choices in the conversations that theoretically lead you to do different things. I never saw consequence one of any choice I made.
Really?
At one point, I was forced through the text in the game to choose to take opium. I didn't have a choice in the matter. I assume I just made the wrong choice at the start of the sort of text dialogue where you're exploring the town, trying to gather information about which route to take. And I ended up chatting to this guy, and he was like, hey, how about some opium? I'm paraphrasing here, of course. And I was like, chose the text option and was like, how dare you suggest such a thing? I'm a valet. No, thank you very much. And the guy was like, oh, you sure you don't want any? And I was reduced options-wise. It was like, maybe, or yes. So I was like, well, I have no choice. Maybe, I suppose. And then it just went, okay, and then I took loads of opium. And then it was just, and then I got bundled onto a ship, and sent across the sea.
Oh wow!
Against my will, because it was the only screen option given to me was to
Fong go
depart.
with you?
No. So I ended up in this town. It was like, now you're here, and I was like, all right, well, shit, this is taking a fucking weird turn for a text adventure game. And so I was like, you have a couple of options. You can either do this, do the other one, or join a traveling circus. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll join a traveling circus. Because one of the lore things is that he's like a very talented man, circus-wise, that he's done it before. Which is in the book as well.
Okay. Which
I feel is where this really got let down, in the fact that I've read the book and I knew what was going to happen. Then I'm like performing in a circus in this text field in this fucking godforsaken city in the middle of nowhere. And it was all of a sudden, in the text, it was like, all of a sudden I noticed Mr. Fogg in the crowd. And so I went and joined up with him again and we went on our way. I was like, there was no consequence for my actions.
No, but you got to have a fun little vignette.
Well, yeah, but there was... And pretty much everything fell into the exact same way. And it gets super weird.
Yeah.
It's like travelling along a carriage and I noticed something suspicious about the driver. I was like, oh, sweet, I'll investigate that.
Yeah.
Through various text fields later of choices that I made, turns out she was an alien. And I was like, oh, this is going to fucking break this wide open. This is going to get fucking weird.
Yeah.
At the end of the carriage ride, she was just like, don't tell anyone. And the options were, all right. So I was like, all right. And that's it. We went our separate ways. And there was no further ramifications for that. Back to just the same monotony of finding routes, go on that route. And you can build up sort of outfits in your suitcase, which will help you do things.
Yeah,
which
like the jungle outfit.
Or like the engineer's outfit, which means that every time you take a train and it's departing the next day, maybe you can convince them to depart a day early because you've got the engineer's outfit, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But it's like, you've got the engineer's outfit. This train travel is going to cost Mr. Fogg, who's the fucking most delicate of individuals in this. For a very determined, stout Briton guy, which is what he was in the book.
He's not stout in the slightest.
In the book he is. He's like, nothing phases him. He's like, we must press onwards. But in this, is like, he's taking a train travel. Lose 30 health.
Yeah.
You've got the wild safari outfit. That'll gain you 8 health in the interim. But which leads you to do nothing on the train journeys, but to pick the one where you pamper him to regain his health.
Well, you can just let him get low on health. He just gets, like, sassy.
And then he'll fucking die, because when he gets to 0...
He just gets really sassy.
I never got to that point, because it was like, shit, the health is getting low.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, conversing someone or reading the news about stuff that's happened in the past, it's just comb his moustache fucking constantly to manage his health.
Yeah.
And it seemed like there was no risk at any point. Because if you run out of money, you just go to the bank, wait a day, and they give you like $2,000, which is like $500,000 by the old currency. And the spoilers here, the main plot point in Around the World in 80 Days, a book written by Jules Verne, who's one of my favorite authors.
This book is like 100 years old, right?
Yes.
I'm sure a spoiler warning is passed by now.
Whatever. The main plot point is that you make it around the world in 81 days. And you're like, oh shit, we lost the bet. Might as well not even go to the place where the bet was placed, where I said I would be by the end of the 80 days.
Yeah.
Humdrum drum. And what a depressing end to this book. And then there's a huge twist at the end. One of the first twists I ever remember reading in a book was like, wait.
Passepartout is his father.
And he killed his mother. Is that you went across the international time zone. So you gain a day. And they're like, holy shit, we gained a day. It is the 80th day. If we fucking book it, we can get there and win the bet. And so they fucking book it there and they get up to the top of steps and ding dong, ding dong. They make it and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And in the app, I'm just like halfway through traveling across an ocean. And then like a text thing pops up, which is what occasionally happens. And it's like, Monsieur, we have passed the international dateline. What is this nonsense about? And Mr. Fogg is like, don't worry, I have calculated for that. We have an extra day. Fuck you, that's the main plot point in the entire game, is that in the book, is that you get an extra day.
Yeah, but on this plotline, you got, like, kidnapped by a circus, and then you met an alien. And...
I suppose so, but weird stuff like that happens in the book.
Yeah.
Have you ever read the book?
No.
Okay, weird stuff happens in the book.
I was going to, but you just ruined the ending.
Not to the extent of the weird stuff that happens in this book.
Yeah.
Which they just took it and, like, cranked it to 11. There's,
Did you, like, go in the
mechanized
city?
walking cities. Yeah. Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But everybody's just like, oh, this is amazing. And you meet all these wild and vibrant characters that have zero lasting effect on the entire plot of the game.
Well, yeah, you travel on.
But...
You're a rambling man.
I suppose so. But there's no, like, ongoing effects. Like, initially, as your valet... Monsieur Fogg won't even let you attend to him because your relation with him isn't strong enough.
Yeah.
Which is nonsense. You're his fucking valet. Of course he's going to let you attend to him. But you got to build up your relations with him, and that's fine.
You think I let, like, some guy off the street comb my moustache?
You're not some guy off the street. You're the guy he hired to do exactly that. So you can go in, and you go and you do these little subtext quests of you met this person and you made this choice. Now you are hearty.
Yeah.
That seems to have zero effect on the game. I ended up with like 30 different little, you are hearty, you are stout, you are well-traveled, you're shoehorn, you're zesty, you're spry. It had zero effect, to my knowledge, on the rest of the game.
Yeah, I don't know if it does have an effect. I think it's just like a...
I felt like
a role-playing kind of thing.
I feel like I had...
to be a certain kind of puzzle.
I suppose. But I felt like I had very little agency in the game. Like, I was just following the same steps. Go to a town. Is there a thing that's leaving? Yes. Do I have money to go on that thing? More than likely. In the first town, I waited a week and got $10,000. Can I leave now? No. All right, I'll stay and explore a day for 4 hours.
Yeah.
You've explored. Okay, here's 3 other things. You've picked up a timetable. Here's another 4 things off in fucking northern Siberia that you're nowhere near.
Yeah.
And then it was, okay, then pick the most direct route to England. Okay, you're on that route. Here is a bunch of text that has no effect on anything. On you go.
It has an effect on the story.
I suppose so, but...
in your imagination.
But there's no story. There's no plot line. Like,
there's lots of little plot lines.
The book, the characters evolve to a certain degree. Mr. Fogg is more of a static character because he isn't the guy narrating it. Passepartout is. But he's seen as like this hearty, stalwart, we shall find a way, we're British, tally-ho, and so on and such forth. And Passepartout is the guy who evolves, and you meet a character, you meet a woman on the quest, and she travels with you, and then she and Monsieur Fogg get together, so on and such forth. That never happens in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if it does, it didn't happen to me.
You can totally set up Fogg with some.
Yeah, but you don't get like a character that comes with you who's like a foil to Fogg, you know, who's like his opposite, who's a woman who's rakish and wild, as opposed to Mr. Fogg, who is like sedentary and like stoic, you know, and you as a character don't evolve in the game at all. Like
you become zesty and hearty.
Well, yes, but that has no like. It's not like if you become zesty, then you get zesty choice options, you know, as you go along.
Maybe you do. I don't know.
Maybe you do. I never noted. It was always the same options, which was like, yeah, all right, let's do that.
Yeah.
I am French. I would never do that. I must go attend to my master.
Yeah.
These are the 3 options that happen in every text conversation in the entire game. It just, I felt like there was no consequence to my actions. And I had no agency other than pick the most direct route and go the most efficient way on there. There was no incentive to explore because it was a time thing, you know?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you win or not. You can get around the world in like 40 days.
At which point, then what's the point, you know? The whole thing is like, it's supposed to be a close shave. It's supposed to be tight to 80 days. It's supposed to be a challenge to get there in 80 days, you know? And spoiler alert, was not even close to a spoiler alert. I got to the final leap across the ocean back to London.
Yeah.
At which point, the game locked me out of any option of getting across. Because I was in an area that didn't have a bank. And the final leap cost like $4,000, which was such a huge leap in funds above every other thing I'd done. And I was like, it leaves. I had like 4 days to get there. And I had like $3,000.
Yeah.
And it was like, we can alter this for a bribe. You can bribe people to make things leave early for $1,000. And I was like, sweet. Bribe for $1,000. This is a $5,000 journey. You now have $2,000. Game over. You can't get there. And then when you hit the 80 days, Mr. Fogg just goes, well, we've failed. Let's just go back to England.
Yeah.
There's no consequence for failing. I don't know. I just want, like, something to happen. It felt very droll and boring and drudgery. I was like, oh, we didn't make it. Oh, well, stoic British pride. Tally on. And at which point I was like, well, there's no incentive at all for me to continue playing. And I just quit.
Well, I'm sorry that you didn't have a good time.
It was... I played it. I gave it a fair shake.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Well, that is a fair assessment.
I hated it.
And you're entitled to your opinion.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. That's why I suggested that you play it. When you were like...
Do you have any counterpoints to my bashing of this? Oh, you've chipped in a couple of times, and I've pretty much spoken over you because I got a little het up about this. But what makes you? What's its shining points in your opinion?
Well, whatever I say, I can tell it's not going to sway you because
I will attempt to have an open mind about this.
The stuff that I liked about the game is stuff that you've just said that you didn't like.
Like
all of those like stories and things where you said you felt you didn't have any options or agency and there was no consequences for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I probably went a different way to you and experienced different storylines, but I didn't feel that way about any of them. You
don't feel like... Do you feel like that had sort of impacted you as a character?
Well, not like statistically in the game, but like inside my own head, what I thought about.
Maybe I just came at it from like a wrong angle. You know, maybe that I
did have like different expectations.
Possibly so, having read the book.
Yeah.
I did enjoy initially like the little subplots.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is quite interesting. I'm in Brisbane and somebody's...
Did you go to Australia too?
I did go to Australia.
Yeah. Did you go on the submarine?
I can't remember. I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And, somebody's hurt themselves. And now I need to go put a note in the paper so she can have a doctor not lop her leg off. Because then she won't be a sailor anymore. And I nearly died doing that because it was like a 10-hour hike through the outback to get to this other place. And I got there and they're like, it was back where you started, mate. What are you doing here? The newspaper's where you began. And I was like, oh shit, I nearly died as a character. And then I came back and it was like, all right, time to go. And that was it.
Yeah. No, I see where you're getting.
But initially, like, the little diversions and the little conversations I had on the journeys were entertaining to a degree. But it did just eventually devolve into keeping Mr. Fogg alive. And just going on to the next destination as quickly as possible. The most efficient route.
Yeah, well, mechanically it is very shallow.
Yes.
There's like a little bit of inventory management and trying to keep Fogg's health up by combing his moustache.
Yes.
That's basically it, mechanically. So it is just really relying on those stories and whether or not you enjoy
I guess so. And if they had said, like, if your relationship drops too low with Mr. Fogg, you can't go on, because he doesn't trust you to go on with him.
Yeah.
Then that would have been an aspect. Or
he shoots you in the back of the head.
You had like, if you became zesty, then you had like a zesty option in choices. It was like yellow, because when it comes up, it says a little yellow highlight. Your character is now zesty.
Yeah.
And if that had taken place in further different future plot lines, like different paths of conversation, your zesty option is this, because you're a zesty character, and then you go and do that. That would have been great. I would have loved that.
Yeah, like I said, maybe it does do that. I don't know.
Maybe,
but it doesn't really flag it.
It doesn't really feel like.
Yeah.
You still remain the same as a character.
Yeah.
I feel. Anyway, do you want to ask me what I rate it?
Yes. How many days out of 80 would you give 80 days?
On a scale of 1 to 10?
No, on a scale of
1 to 80?
Yeah.
This is breaking widely out of our previous rating
it is.
frame. All right. I'll allow it this once because I gave it hell.
People can work out the fractions later.
Sure. I would probably give it 20 out of 80.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And usually I change my mind because you're like, whoa, Alan, that is being way too hard, and I bump it up. But just that's what my heart says.
Oh, no, that's fine.
What my heart says, Russell.
That's fair.
Now, you are very busy at the moment, so I don't think I can give you a game to play. But I think that I should correct a mistake I made in a previous podcast.
Oh.
Because in a previous podcast, I called one of the favorite movies that I ever watched.
Uh-huh.
I called it Eric the Red.
Oh, yes.
But in reality, it's called Eric the Viking.
Okay.
And I felt like I needed a swift kick up the arse for making that mistake. So, as
those Eric the Viking fans out there were like...
Oh, jeez, this guy, fucking rage, hate mail coming through. No, I feel like to make up for it, I think I need to make you watch Eric the Viking.
Excellent.
As your forced review. Which I have on the shelf right here, so I can give it to you.
Well, that's easy then.
Yes. Right, so after that debacle of a review, I feel that we should just cut and run before this thunderstorm kills the power and we end up with no end to this, and then I have to Frankenstein's monster an end together out of previous podcasts.
You could just mimic my voice.
I could. I don't think we sound that similar, to be honest.
No, I don't think
you're a bit too nasally for me to do. Anyway.
You're a bit too fucked.
Wicked burn.
Yeah.
That's all. Wicked burn. Could you just not think of anything critical to say about my voice?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so if you enjoyed the show, feel free to go to our website for the blog post in regards to references that we've made in this show. So if you don't know what anything we talked about there on the show is, go to there and it will give you links to where hell we're talking about. And go there for various reviews and articles and whatnot that I'm sure we'll put up at some point.
We've got like 3 weeks to get something out there.
Yep, we've got a buffer of about 3 weeks before we catch up to our current episode, so we're going to have to put something out there. Yeah. I'll probably write a review for Fallout 4 and put it up there pretty soon. So there you go.
Is it just a picture of you jacking it?
Yep.
Okay.
And it's my Steam account open and showing this page.
150 hours played.
150 hours played.
Jizz sprayed across
across the screen. It's pretty much what I did in this episode is just jizzed all over the screen of Fallout 4.
And talking about bonus, quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for more chat about Allan's bonus, you can find us on Facebook.
Daily updates.
Facebook.com/popculturepon. Mm-hmm. And on Twitter @popculturepon.
If you liked the episode, then feel free to go to iTunes.
We're on iTunes.
We're on iTunes now, yes. Which is going to seem very time delayed because we're released 2 episodes to the public and we're on iTunes 2 episodes in, but we're not mentioning it until like episode 6. But yeah, we're on iTunes 6. Now, something like that. We're on iTunes, so you can feel free to go there and subscribe. And SoundCloud, we're on there as well.
Give us the old 5-star review.
I don't know how the reviews on iTunes work.
Well, you either give 1 star or 5 stars. Anything in the middle is just being wishy-washy.
Yeah, don't be a pansy.
Yeah.
Take a stand.
Well, unless you don't like us.
No, Russell.
In which case, be a pansy.
No, if you are filled with hate in regards to this podcast and you just want to get it out there.
How dare he say that about Armada?
He says a literary masterpiece.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to discourage people. If we're awful, let us know.
Yeah.
Then maybe we can improve upon it.
Not on iTunes.
Not on iTunes. Keep it private.
Yeah.
Keep it off of public opinion.
Put a post on Reddit and then get all your friends to download it.
Yes. Or, well, we download it as soon as we see it and report you for libel.
Yeah.
Alright, so if you've enjoyed us, come on back next week for another enthralling episode of Popculture Pontification.
Yeah.
Yeah, more chat about my boners, apparently.
Yeah.
It's a weekly segment.
Yeah.
Sweet boner chat.
You know, I don't think I've ever said about myself, I have a raging boner.
In regards to what? Like on...
Not my internal monologue, when like a sexy babe comes on or whatever. I have a raging boner.
I don't think, like, my internal monologue as I was watching Star Wars, I was like, watching Star Wars, man, look at this raging boner. No, I just came to the realization that I had a boner over Carrie Fisher.
I can see the way Carrie Fisher's straining at the fabric of that shift.
It's like, oh man, more of this shift, please.
Now I can see it mirrored in the way my boner is straining against the fabric of my pants.
You're assuming I was wearing pants, Russell.
Oh, that's true.
I was ill.